The average adult eats nearly 17 teaspoons of added sugar every single day, and those cravings are rewiring your brain, your gut, and your energy levels. You feel powerless around sweets, you crash mid-afternoon, and every first'll start Monday dissolves by lunch. That stops now. As a metabolic coach, first will walk you through a science-backed, 4-pillar plan that ends sugar cravings in just 14 days, without extreme dieting or willpower gymnastics. In this video you'll get the exact day-by-day blueprint: what to eat at breakfast to shut down cravings, simple swaps to stabilize blood sugar, tiny habit hacks to rewire reward pathways, and the key supplements and sleep tweaks that accelerate the reset. Quick preview: mornings with protein and water, smart pairing of carbs with fiber and fat, a 2-step strategy for treating cravings, delay plus distract plus substitute, and a grocery-ready meal template you can use right away. These are practical moves you can fit into a busy life: 10-minute recipes, grocery lists, and social strategies for parties and lunches. Stick with me for the next 8 minutes to claim your 14-day reset plan and download the printable checklist at the end. Let's crush cravings and get your energy back for good. 1. Why sugar is the silent architect of aging. Hidden chemistry begins the moment excess sugar circulates in your blood. Glucose and fructose bind to proteins and lipids without enzymes, creating advanced glycation end products, AGEs. These sticky molecules accumulate in skin, blood vessels, and organs, cross-linking collagen and elastin so they lose flexibility and strength. The result is not just wrinkles: connective tissue becomes rigid, skin yellows, and wound healing slows, visible aging driven by molecular damage. Chronic overconsumption of free sugars also hijacks hormonal balance. Repeated spikes in insulin promote insulin resistance, which blunts nutrient signaling and fuels low-grade inflammation throughout the body. Inflammation releases enzymes and free radicals that break down structural proteins and lipids. Meanwhile, persistent insulin and nutrient signaling stimulate mTOR and suppress autophagy, the cell's cleanup crew, accelerating cellular wear and tear instead of allowing repair. At the cellular level, excess sugar increases oxidative stress and undermines mitochondria, the energy producers of the cell. When mitochondria produce more reactive oxygen species than the antioxidant systems can neutralize, DNA, proteins and membranes suffer damage. Sugar's impact on brain insulin signaling is also important. Impaired insulin action in neural tissue is linked in clinical and animal studies to poorer memory and higher risk of cognitive decline. Examples are common: a daily soda, a sweetened yogurt, and a fruit juice can each contribute to repeated glycemic surges that feed these damaging pathways. You can blunt the silent architect by cutting the fuel it needs. Focus on whole foods, prioritize protein and fiber at meals, replace sugary drinks with water or unsweetened tea, and read labels for hidden syrups and added sugars. Start small, remove one sugary item today and notice energy and cravings over the next days. For targeted change, monitor fasting glucose and discuss a stepwise reduction plan with a clinician or nutrition professional. Take that first actionable step now. One swap, done consistently, reclaims your cellular repair and slows the visible and invisible work sugar does to age you. 2. The 14-day timeline: what happens to your brain. Sugar hijacks the brain's reward system by triggering rapid dopamine release in the nucleus accumbens, the same circuitry that responds to music, sex, and drugs. This pattern of repeated spikes trains your brain to seek quick, high-reward fuel instead of slower, more sustainable sources of pleasure. At the same time, fluctuating blood glucose and insulin signals affect neurotransmission and mood, so cravings aren't just willpower failures, they're biochemical echoes of an adapted nervous system. The problem becomes apparent immediately when you stop. In the first 48-72 hours, withdrawal symptoms commonly surface: intense cravings, restless mood, low motivation, and disrupted sleep. Those initial days reflect an acute drop in dopamine signaling and increased stress-related neurotransmitters, which makes food cues feel more tempting and cognitive control weaker. Short, sharp, hard to ignore. There is a clear, predictable shift after that acute phase, and a focused 14-day interruption gives the brain time to rebalance. Over days 3-7, dopamine pathways begin recalibrating, the nucleus accumbens responds less intensely to sugar cues, and the prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for planning and impulse control, starts regaining influence. Concurrent neural processes include reductions in reward hyperresponsiveness and gradual restoration of neurotransmitter balance. Animal studies also show that prolonged high sugar intake suppresses brain-derived neurotrophic factor, BDNF, and removing excess sugar supports neuroplastic recovery. In people, this translates to improved mood and learning capacity as habits change. Practical details matter for how quickly you notice differences. Stabilize blood sugar with protein, fiber, and healthy fats to blunt spikes and troughs. Brief aerobic exercise raises dopamine and strengthens executive control. Consistent sleep supports neurotransmitter recovery, and stress management techniques lower cortisol-driven cravings. For example, swapping a sugar-laden snack for a Greek yogurt with nuts mid-afternoon reduces the physiological urge for a sugar hit while providing sustained energy. Small, repeated choices compound. By day 8-14, many people report fewer intrusive thoughts about sweets, clearer decision-making around food, and a growing sense that cravings are manageable rather than commanding. Integrate this understanding into a simple action plan. Expect an early hump of discomfort, rely on metabolic stabilizers, protein, fiber, water, use movement and mindfulness to buffer urges, and track progress daily to see cognitive benefits. Keep in mind that the brain's reward circuitry is plastic. Consistent behavior creates new neural pathways that favor lasting change. Commit to the full 2 weeks, monitor sleep and mood, and celebrate small wins, because the hardest wiring to change is exactly the one that rewards you when you succeed. Take the next step today, decide on one swap, set a 14-day start date, and observe how your brain begins to reclaim control. 3. Powerful food swaps to kill cravings instantly. Rapid blood sugar swings and the brain's reward circuitry drive most intense sweet cravings, and simple carbs fuel a feedback loop that makes you want more. Short-lived spikes in glucose trigger insulin and then a crash, leaving you reaching for the next quick hit. Cravings are also sensory. Texture, crunch, and a hit of sweetness create conditioned responses that are easy to reinforce. Break the cycle with combinations that satisfy taste and blunt physiology at once. Pairing protein, fiber, and a bit of healthy fat stabilizes blood sugar and activates fullness hormones like peptide YY and GLP-1, so you get real relief, not just distraction. Real foods with those 3 components work faster than willpower alone. Start by keeping them within arm's reach. Swap a candy bar or a pastry for a bowl of plain Greek yogurt topped with fresh berries and a sprinkle of chopped walnuts. The yogurt supplies concentrated protein to reduce hunger signals. Berries add fiber and natural sweetness while keeping the glycemic impact low. Walnuts provide mouthfeel and fat to slow gastric emptying. A ready example: scoop plain Greek yogurt into a container, fold in a handful of raspberries or blueberries, and top with 2 tablespoons of chopped walnut or almond for crunch. It's portable, needs no reheating, and the mix of textures tricks your brain into feeling indulgent. Replace a milk chocolate bar or a sugary granola bar with a small piece of 70 or higher dark chocolate paired with raw almonds, or swap cookies for apple slices with a smear of natural peanut butter. Dark chocolate has less sugar and more intense flavor, so 2 squares often satisfy sweets cravings that used to require a whole bar. Apples bring fiber and juiciness, nut butter supplies fat and a little protein. Together they create the sweet and satisfying mouthfeel you crave, with a calmer blood sugar response. When salty sweet or crunchy cravings strike, choose roasted chickpeas, air-popped popcorn tossed with a light spray of olive oil and nutritional yeast, or baked veggie chips. These alternatives deliver crunch and savory satisfaction without the rapid glycemic highs of processed snacks. For late evening dessert urges, try a small bowl of cottage cheese with sliced strawberries and a pinch of cinnamon. The protein-soothing effect helps quell nighttime sugar desire without leaving you hungry later. Make the swaps practical so they stick. Prep single-portion snack packs of yogurt and berries, pre-slice apples and portion nut butter into small tubs, and roast a big batch of chickpeas to grab all week. When a craving hits, use a simple rule: reach for a prepared swap first, then reassess in 10 minutes. If the craving fades, you've changed the loop. If it doesn't, allow a truly satisfying treat and note the trigger to refine your choices next time. Try one swap today and track how long the urge lasts. Small, consistent replacements change both your physiology and your taste preferences. Start with the easiest swap, repeat it, and build from there. Your cravings will notice the difference. 4. Rituals to quiet the mind during sugar withdrawal. Reducing sugar often triggers a measurable dip in brain reward signaling, which shows up as anxiety, fogginess, irritability, and intense cravings, symptoms that are best managed by calming the nervous system rather than fighting the urge. These withdrawal reactions are real, and they respond predictably to rituals that shift focus away from the appetite center to the parasympathetic system. Short, repeatable practices reset your physiology and shorten the peak of craving episodes. Start with breath work because it's immediate and portable. Box breathing: inhale 4 counts, hold 4, exhale 4, hold 4, repeat 5 times, lowers heart rate and quiets racing thoughts. Alternate nostril breathing, done for 2 minutes, balances neural activity and can blunt anxious spikes. A 3-minute cadence of slow exhalations, count to 6 on the exhale, count to 4 on the inhale, is another fast option when you feel a sugar urge building. Use sensory rituals to anchor attention and replace habitual reaching for sweets. Sip warm herbal tea slowly. Chamomile and peppermint are common choices that many people find soothing. Run cool water over your wrists or splash your face to create a sensory interruption. Apply the 5-4-3-2-1 grounding method. Name 5 things you see, 4 you can touch, 3 you hear, 2 you smell, 1 you taste. It's concrete and quick. Combine this with a 2-minute body scan. Start at your toes, notice any tension, breathe into each area, and consciously release it. Add brief movement and expressive practices to shift chemistry and clear the mind. A 10-minute mindful walk outdoors prioritizes rhythm and breath while exposing you to natural light, both reduce stress. Try progressive muscle relaxation. Tense a muscle group for 5 seconds, then release and notice the contrast. Move upward from feet to shoulders in under 8 minutes. Journal microprompts work too. Write a single sentence about what the craving is asking for: stress, boredom, reward, and 1 sentence about what you will do instead. Small rituals build a sense of control. Integrate these tools into a predictable daily scaffold so they become automatic when cravings arrive. Morning: 2 minutes of breath work and a warm cup to set a calm baseline. Midday: a short walk or a 5-4-3-2-1 grounding reset when glucose dips typically hit. Evening: a 10-minute body scan or progressive relaxation to improve sleep and reduce nocturnal cravings. When a craving strikes, follow a simple sequence: pause, breathe for 2 minutes, perform a sensory reset, then journal 1 line, and rate your craving intensity before and after. Track those numbers, you'll see patterns and quick wins. Pick 1 ritual tonight and do it for 3 minutes. Commit to practicing it daily for a week, note the craving level before and after each use, and adjust as needed. Start small, consistency matters more than intensity. 5. How a sugar-free life resets your fat-burning mode. Regular consumption of concentrated sugars keeps insulin elevated and effectively tells your body to store energy, not burn it. Insulin directly suppresses hormone-sensitive lipase, the enzyme that frees stored fat for fuel, and persistent spikes blunt metabolic flexibility, the ability to switch between burning carbs and burning fat. At the same time, excess dietary sugar, especially fructose from sweetened beverages and processed foods, overloads the liver with substrates that favor fat synthesis rather than fat oxidation, creating a metabolic environment where the body prefers to hold onto adipose tissue. Cutting out added sugars removes the constant trigger for those insulin surges. With fewer glucose spikes, insulin levels fall more predictably between meals, which lets lipolysis resume and fatty acids leave fat cells to be used as fuel. Cellular energy sensors such as AMPK respond to lower energy signals by upregulating pathways for beta oxidation and mitochondrial uptake of fatty acids. In practical terms, this means appetite stabilizes, energy becomes steadier, and the body shifts back toward burning stored fat during routine daily activities and during exercise. Hormones and the gut also play essential roles in the reset. Leptin sensitivity, the brain's ability to register fullness from fat stores, often improves when sugar intake drops, reducing overeating driven by leptin resistance. Ghrelin patterns, the hunger hormone, become less erratic, so you experience fewer sudden urges for quick carbs. Meanwhile, feeding the microbiome with fiber instead of sugar favors short-chain fatty acid production, which supports satiety and metabolic health. Contrast that with sugar-consuming microbes that can perpetuate cravings. The liver benefits too. Removing high fructose loads reduces the substrate pressure that otherwise promotes hepatic fat accumulation and insulin resistance. Put this into action with simple, evidence-based swaps and routines. Replace sugar-sweetened beverages with water, sparkling water, or unsweetened tea. Choose whole proteins, healthy fats, and fiber-rich vegetables at each meal to blunt post-meal glucose responses, and prefer snacks like nuts, plain Greek yogurt, or raw vegetables with hummus instead of candy or pastries. Combine these dietary shifts with resistance training to increase muscle mass and resting energy expenditure, plus steady-state aerobic work to encourage fatty acid utilization. Prioritize sleep and stress management too, because cortisol and sleep loss amplify insulin resistance and sabotage fat burning. Start by auditing one day of eating and removing the most obvious concentrated sugars. Track craving patterns and energy across that day. Then plan 3 simple swaps and add a short strength session to your week. Small, consistent changes compound, the biochemical environment shifts, hormones rebalance, microbial ecology improves, and your body's ability to access stored fat strengthens. Take the first step now, read labels, clear out the obvious sugar sources, and replace them with whole food options so your metabolism can begin switching back into fat-burning mode. 6. Daily habits to keep focus-friendly environment. Visual cues trigger automatic eating more often than willpower does. Cluttered counters, visible packaging, and an easy-to-reach candy bowl all act like tiny prompts that bypass conscious choice. When the environment repeatedly signals treat, your brain learns the association and sends cravings on autopilot. This creates a feedback loop. Cues lead to snacking, snacking reinforces the cue association, and willpower becomes the only barrier, until it runs out. Start by using stimulus control, remove or hide the triggers and make healthy choices the path of least resistance. Store sweets in opaque containers tucked away in a high cabinet or the back of the pantry so they're not the first thing your eyes land on. Make healthy options obvious, a clear glass bowl with apples on the counter or pre-portioned snack packs in the fridge, so choosing well requires less decision energy. At night, clear countertops and put tempting items in the freezer. Delayed access reduces impulse intake. Adopt small, repeatable rituals that replace old cue response chains. After finishing a meal, rinse your plate and put it in the dishwasher immediately. The visual cue of a clean counter reduces the temptation to graze. If you typically reach for dessert after dinner, stack a new habit, brew a cup of mint or chamomile tea and sip it while you wash up. In the workplace, remove communal candy jars and keep a small container of mixed nuts or carrot sticks at your desk instead. Use implementation intentions, simple if/then plans, such as, if first crave something sweet after lunch, then first will walk for 5 minutes and drink a glass of water. Short and clear plans beat vague intentions every time. Designate eating zones and time blocks to prevent mindless snacking. Reserve the dining table for meals and ban food in front of screens. When you eat while distracted, portion control disappears. Keep a water bottle within arm's reach to substitute for habitual hand-to-mouth actions. Reduce decision fatigue by prepping weekday snacks on the weekend. Washed berries in a shallow container, hummus portioned into small tubs, and chopped vegetables in ready-to-grab bags. For households, align rules with family members. Ask everyone to agree on where treats are stored and when dessert is appropriate, so social cues don't undermine your plan. Pick one habit to implement tonight. Clear the counters of visible sweets and place a bowl of ready-to-eat fruit where you'll see it tomorrow morning. Commit to that single change for a full week and note how cravings shift. Small, consistent environmental adjustments compound quickly. Start now and make the setup work for you instead of against you. Picture this, in 14 days you walk past a bakery and feel calm, not controlled. If sugar hijacks your mood, energy, and willpower, you're not weak, you're responding to a biological pattern. The good news, that pattern is reversible with a focused, science-backed reset. Quick summary of what we covered and what you'll do: balance blood sugar with protein and fiber at every meal, hydrate and prioritize sleep to reduce stress-driven cravings, remove top triggers and replace them with satisfying, low-sugar swaps, use simple habit stacking, one small win a day, and mindful eating to retrain reward circuits, and lean on social support and planning so real life doesn't derail progress. How to integrate it now: start tomorrow with a protein-rich breakfast, carry 2 healthy snacks, schedule 7-8 hours of sleep, swap one sugary item for a natural alternative, and track cravings, not shame them. Small, consistent wins compound fast. From my experience working with hundreds of clients, this framework reliably reduces cravings in days and solidifies new habits in weeks. If you're ready to try it, download the free 14-day checklist below, join the challenge in the comments, and subscribe so you don't miss step-by-step meal plans, quick recipes, and troubleshooting videos coming next week. Tell me your biggest craving in the comments. First will respond and help you plan your first swap. Start today, stick to the plan, and in 2 weeks you'll already feel the difference.